Buenas tardes, amigo. Welcome back to this, the Super High Roller final table here at EPT 10 Barcelona, the first event. English commentary by James Hartigan and Joe Stapleton there on your screens. I'm afraid not. They're off doing important television things. This is Matt Brown with you, Mark Cumby, and also Steve Silverman. Steve Silverman still with us. That was quite a sentence to get out. Thanks for sticking around. You were the people's favourite yesterday, and you've already done a stint with the aforementioned Joe and James. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. I really enjoy being here.
What have you made so far of what you saw? We struggled yesterday just to get through the bubble, and then already down to 4 players here.
Yeah, it was pretty expected given the stacks. It was going to go quick once the bubble broke, and that's kind of what happened. And now they have evened out a little bit. I think I guess before the level they had a couple, like 3 of the 4 guys were over 40 blinds, now less. But there's definitely a lot of play left.
2.7. Like
I'm kind of glad we're sat in different seats today, Matt. Otherwise, I just feel like we're still here last night. Yeah. It's still 8-handed. Like, it's a good job that we're in different seats. I haven't woken up from a dream.
Yeah, no, it felt like yesterday was never going to come to an end. We thought we weren't going to get through. We won't need level 18 to get down to the bubble. No, we did. We needed that and some. But we're sorry to find out when we came in that Tim had gone out. Well, to be honest, we had this conversation at breakfast. There wasn't really anybody that we were going, well, as long as the good guys are in, because everyone here on this final table, we kind of had our reasons to want to go further.
Yeah, and everyone's played really well too.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that someone has to go away with nothing, but that's, part of the game, so you have to deal with it.
Yeah, and in fair dues, pretty much all these guys at one point or the other, Mike, Steve, Eric, not so much Vitaly, I guess. Vitaly's probably the only one that at no point yesterday looked like they could just be walking out of here.
No, he played solid.
He was pretty solid, and that last couple of levels we watched yesterday, I guess 16 through 18, he was solid as... Oh, gosh, and of course we get to see the cards. Sorry about that, everyone. I was thinking, oh my God, I can see the cards.
This is new.
So 3-betting from the small blind here is kind of a similar situation. He chooses to 3-bet rather than shove for 20 blinds.
Yeah, was this one of the hands previously where it kind of looked like, is he trying to induce?
Yeah. I mean, it shows that he has an ace. The ace hands, the problem is that they don't flop as well as something like King-Jack suited.
Yeah.
It almost makes more sense to 3-bet call King-Jack suited than it does like Ace-King, just because of how much better you'll flop on like the middling boards with King-Jack, whereas you have an ace, you kind of just want to take the pot down or get called in an all-in situation. As it is, Mike probably is going to fold, but
Just got to give the stare down first.
possibly not. I mean, King 10's pretty strong on the button.
Mike folds and Eric will win this pot.
And he
Yeah, I
does
mean,
let it go.
he might have. Okay, so I mean, that's actually different. I don't think Seidel was calling it off. He had ace-7 off. It actually kind of makes sense to choose that hand to 3-bet bluff with the ace blocker. It doesn't flop that great when you get called.
And you don't really want to stick 20 big blinds in with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think shoving is probably shoving is a mistake. You could maybe shove ace-8 even. So like you take the 1 notch below what you would shove and choose that to 3-bet bluff with. So maybe he's shoving ace-8 and he's 3-bet folding ace-7.
So the average stack sits at just over 30 big blinds at the moment. And of course the blinds will come around quickly, seeing as we're only 4-handed. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this shouldn't take too long. 'Cause,
It'd be ridiculous.
it would be.
We've seen too many of these to think anything ever could happen. I mean, it could all happen in minutes, but it's more likely to take many hours, which is good news for us, to be honest, because this is a pretty decent final 4 to find ourselves against here. Oh, look, there we are.
Given a credit we deserve, Matt.
Well, I don't know about that. Everyone's certainly looking a bit sharper than they did by the time we got out of here about whatever it was, 1:30 this morning.
Yeah, it was definitely a long day yesterday. Everyone was feeling it past 1 a.m.
Yeah, you never know whether everyone's just in the groove and though they're tired, their brains are still triggering, and is the break a good thing, to head off and get some sleep and come back, or does it become almost a completely different game when you sit down? Do you find you like kind of, if you have that, if you have a big night break, do you come back and just immediately everyone falls into place, or does it sort of take a while to get everyone back in?
I think it just kind of falls into place, to be honest. You know, you take this long break, and then it depends. Like, it is nice if you're like don't have momentum, and you're just not winning pots. You take that long break, and maybe you like win a pot early, and you can just get going. Um, but like things change so quickly that if like winning one pot can just change, you know, the way things are going completely. So whether that happens, you know, after a long break or just randomly in a level.
Yeah.
How big is momentum when you're playing in an MTT? Do you feel like you gather traction and momentum, or is it just like
I think it's actually
made-up thing?
I definitely wouldn't say it's made up. I think it's very valid. People are just less hesitant to 3-bet you because maybe they think you're just going to 4-bet them, or like if you're crushing the table, then you know, someone's 3-bet is just going to look more suspect than if you're just like playing tight. Um, so it just kind of plays into that, and people are just hesitant to play versus you, and you can kind of run away with that. You know, make looser opens, make looser 3-bets, because if you're smashing everyone and then you 3-bet and someone 4-bets, like you're going to be way more suspect of that. Whereas if it's like your first 3-bet, you know, of the day and someone 4-bets, then maybe you'll give them more credit. And the person who's considering 4-betting knows this, and then will will maybe 4-bet you when you don't have momentum and not 4-bet you when you do.
It's another legit kind of hand to make the raise with, and then Mike ends up with another one. This is clearly stronger than the King 10 off was before. He declares all in.
Yeah, so I mean, 27 blinds, it's definitely reasonable to shove. He could flat, but I mean, it's going to have enough equity. It's definitely a lot. Like with 30 blinds, it's probably just too much. 27 is probably just small enough where he can just cram and feel okay with it. I wouldn't mind a flat. Some people 3-bet fold there, but the problem is if you get shoved on by like a small pair, you just completely disallow yourself to realize your equity.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, you know, it's definitely a marginal situation. Like I wouldn't expect him to see him do that with King 10. King Jack suited, you know, has more equity, so that makes more sense to just shove.
I was just going to refer to Vincent on the Twitter saying, time to read some tweets, commentators. Not much action between the four players before the break. Well, one, we've already seen a fair bit of action here in just a couple of hands, but certainly do get in your tweets and emails. Don't forget, it's hashtag EPT Live on Twitter, nuts@pokerstars.tv if you want to get us on email. Don't forget, also check out the YouTube channel. Also get involved with the Instagrams if you want to get pictures over. Obviously, Twitter is also a place for pictures. We had that tremendous paper mache Elky last night. And also the Poker Vikings just come back from the store. What happened in the last 30 minutes? Well, nothing, because we've been on a break, so you're pretty cool. And this is Matt, Mark, and Steve Silverman back with us. So it's basically we've gone back in time to last night. We were desperately trying to get down through the bubble. We gave them all the opportunity in the world. They couldn't do it. And then today we are already down to our 4. A few other people also asking about the free roll password. Actually, in fact, including Mark. Mark. I thought this was... well, we don't know. I've not actually been fed the password yet. I don't know if we've given it out yet. I would imagine not.
No, we got it. Yeah, it is what I thought. It's another footballer, another Barcelona player. Used to play in the UK, now plays in Spain. It's Fabregas. So it's Fabregas.
I wonder how many people guessed
Fabregas,
it. I wonder how many people went through the Spanish footballer list. Oh, I'm being told that exactly 800.
800? Wow.
800 people guessed the password before we gave it out. Good job, password monkeys, whoever that was.
I think tomorrow we should mix it up and put an Espanyol player in there. They're the other team based in Barcelona. I have no idea who even plays for Espanyol, so...
I think Steve's probably going to shove here. Suited ace just has enough equity for 21 blinds.
Yeah, and Eric's being cheeky. We don't know what he's got.
Show us your cards, Eric.
I can't get used to seeing the cards. Do you know, it actually messes with my head.
Well, I think Eric famously, when TV Poker first came out, refused to show his cards. He used to be like, I'm not giving away, you know, until they said, okay, well, you're not coming on the show until you show the card. So that's when he finally gave in.
Like every hand, pretty much.
And the all-in got through. Come on, Eric. Be a good boy. That's Vitaly Lunkin getting some advice there from, that might be Troyanovsky, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, he can run
Vladimir.
up to, Vanessa Seltz in the high roller at the PCA.
Yeah, he's been a regular on in the high rollers. He kind of came on to the. I think he came on around then. Maybe was playing them before that, but that's when I first heard of him at least.
I saw him. He made an insane call against Darnie Stern in the 100K with like 4th pair, I think, or something, and Darnie was.
Yeah, I think he had sixes on
that's
like
right.
a 9-10 jack board, and it was a 4-bet pot where he called the flop and then called all in on the turn with just the under pair.
Honestly, Darnie's like George just hit the rail, like hit the ground as soon as like he made the call. It's just an insane call.
It was a huge pot. I saw Donnie tweet. He was just like, "Wow, I just got insanely owned by a Russian."
Yeah, it was like one of the best calls I've seen, and it probably is the best call I've seen in like 7 years of being on the EPT. Is, for 100K as well. And it was after the re-entry period as well. Wow.
Definitely ambitious.
Bumped up. The old classic suited connectors for Vitaly. Mike McDonald's got not getting much love for his stare down. Chad Poker on Twitter. McDonald has the worst stare down ever. I'd slap him. So annoying. I found a lot of people aren't keen on the Mike McDonald stare.
You know what? If it puts opponents off and it's effective, then good on him.
If it's tilting people just watching, imagine what it does if you're playing against him.
Wow.
That's a kind of crazy defend.
Mike's pretty happy with M piece of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that unreasonable. It's not that unreasonable to defend there. Two somewhat high cards. You're not that much more, and they have 40 blinds to play for. He probably would fold Jack 6, call Jack 7 would be my guess.
So it's right on the line basically.
Yeah. So I'm all over the King 10s, as you know from previous days, Mark. But the Jack 6, the Jack 7, it's
4-handed. We were 7-handed before.
Yeah, but it was heads up by the time
range.
we got around. There were just 2 players left. That's heads up as far as I'm concerned.
You've got to adjust your range, man.
All right. I'll have a think about it.
Jack 7 can flop and turn gutters too. A lot of the times, on the middling boards, he'll check behind, and then you'll have a gutter on the turn that you can semi-bluff with. So
that's what I was going to say. I was just testing.
He's good.
Wrong again.
He's good.
Wrong again. Get Stapes back in there.
Andrew on Twitter still enjoying your commentary and your analysis, Steve. He said best of luck in the main event. Says you're a real trooper.
He's a real trooper. Must be. Yeah, again, that was because of the hours you put in yesterday, and here you are. We know that it's just because your hotel doesn't have good enough internet that that this is the best seat to watch the stream from.
This is a pretty good seat. I mean, I love watching these final tables. It's so interesting, just like seeing these hands versus these guys. Just very interesting.
It's probably good for future high rollers as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. It's like almost like you're doing your homework.
So in reality, a couple of little % of equity should go to the commentary team for any future scores and high roller events.
Yeah,
it's fortunate that your homework is this fun.
So Lunkin's opening from under the gun now. And the ace, is that pretty standard 4-handed?
Pretty standard, yeah. In the cutoff, you could fold with either short stacks behind, like 10 to 15 blind stacks that are going to shove on you, or if you had like a really aggressive player on the button. But he's been playing tight. Seems fine to open.
In fact, it's funny the fact that we've got Vitaly down as under the gun.
Yeah.
But of course, actually, the cutoff is a far more.
Yeah, it's a little deceiving.
It is deceiving. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve O'Dwyer likes to defend these aces on the button. I mean, stacks are short. It's tough. It's not going to flop that well. But I think he makes it work for him, and I think it's versus Vitaly too. Specifically, if it was maybe a more aggressive player, you might see him 3-bet fold. He also gets a little bit more credit for flattening a big hand because Seidel is short in the big blind. So if he had he might be trapping.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what Eric's got, but it kind of doesn't matter. It's more about what the other 2 players don't have.
Yeah, he's not going to call it here.
you want to put your cards on the spot first?
Looks like Steve's upset
You
about.
getting the live feed?
Of course. And I've seen you've been on your phone.
What's
Are
that?
you?
What's that?
You've been on your phone.
I'm not getting a
Have you
live
been
feed.
getting an update?
Oh.
Oh, that's
I mean, it's
interesting.
just not fair that like
I don't
everybody
think
else is just showing their cards every single time and you're just not. I mean,
I wasn't
we all
planning
signed
on
up
that,
under
so-
the same terms and conditions that we have to
I
show our
didn't,
cards.
I didn't actually know that we were that there was a live stream.
Well, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as we always say, we
There is.
show the cards up here on our live stream with the delay, so that no one can just be tuned in. But obviously, there's not to say that people can't retrospectively report back hands. So,
it
of
has
course, in
9-7
Steve's
on it.
scenario,
Yeah.
he's showing all of his hands. So, if somebody was to pick up information later down the line in the afternoon, they're not going to know what Eric's got if he's not showing us the hands.
Yeah, I mean, Seidel has to be showing his cards if they're showing other players' cards.
Yeah.
It has to be consistent.
Because, I mean, that's why we only show the cards here on the final table, because people in the outer tables are then at the advantage. So
Exactly, yeah.
the same thing here. We've got to present a level playing field. So Steve's absolutely within his rights to...
Yeah, and the hour
To
delay
assist.
doesn't change. Like, I mean, you'll find out in an hour, but like in the moment, it's the same basically.
yeah.
You just get more information to use later on.
Yeah, it's not like these guys are going to radically change their game based on a PPA. It's just kind of
Exactly.
scratches the itch of going, I wonder if he had it there or if he didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes you see someone make like a very loose open or like a very loose, just a very non-standard play, and that kind of gives you an insight. But you have to adjust yourself knowing that that's been seen. So
And also the way these blinds are, the jumps these blinds take and the change in the chip stacks that we're seeing in the space of an hour. By the time you got a bit of information an hour and a half down the line, the game has moved on quite a drastic sort of pace.
Yeah, the dynamics are changing so quickly now, from six-handed to four-handed, and then in the future, 3-2 heads up. Maybe Eric feels a bit aggrieved that he hasn't got as many people around that can watch the stream for him. And
Could be. I mean, that's the thing is, of his generation, it's not really quite such the done thing for, the likes of Mike and certainly Steve. It's the boys will all get together and discuss this stuff in the breaks and after the game. So,
and it's Eric's responsibility to know what he's signing up to. If he's put his signature on the terms and conditions, it's his responsibility to be aware that there is a live stream going on.
it's interesting for him to say that he didn't realise it was streaming. Like, this is,
that seems very suspect. I mean, he's been doing this long enough.
yeah.
I think he knows that it's live streamed.
The big TV table, all the cameras swinging around, staring at him.
Seems like he was trolling a little bit there.
Could be.
The Australia's Poker Tour main event results are coming along the bottom of your screen now.
Yep, those of you that have been following on the blog, all the other action going outside. We had the ladies event, the main event starting. We've got the final payouts. From the UK in second place there, it really was a tremendously mixed field, nationalities-wise.
Yeah, Paul started the day, I think, as chip leader, coming into the final table. We finished second. It's a good result. He's a regular on all the EPT main events. Serial qualifier.
So he
another German winner.
He limps King 9 here, which is different than, like, raising Queen Deuce. He probably feels more comfortable, like, raise folding it. King 9 is just too good, where he, like, wants to maybe limp call rather than raise and then risk getting shoved on or 3-bet and have to fold. So it's kind of like, a polarized limping range. Or, I'm sorry, a polarized raising range and the limping the medium hands.
An interesting question from Ryan Reed on Twitter saying, what do poker players pay on average for a hotel room during EPT tourneys? I imagine it can get pricey at some locations. That's why we always talk about these satellites and the the value for players to get into these things is if you can pick up one of the packages to get in.
Yeah.
It's an expensive thing to tour around, especially when we are in some of the locations. Well, I mean, Monte Carlo being the most obvious one, but the players are in exactly the same position as anyone else coming to any of the cities we go to.
Yeah, they have to, stump up for hotels and travel costs. And Ryan Reed on Twitter was asking how much the players pay on average for a hotel room. Well, every single stop's different. You'll pay more in London than will in Barcelona. Steve, you'll probably have more of an idea about
it. It kind
this.
of all factors into, the total expenses of the trip and how much you're expecting to make. Satellites are definitely helpful. They give you like 4 free nights for playing the super high roller, so that's pretty nice. If you pony up the 50k euros, I guess.
Yeah, and also epthotels.com. Quick advert is deals on there as well to follow the tour around. You got to be smart if you want to get involved in this. I mean, if you're pretty like me, obviously you just find a rich guy, just, you know, flash him a bit of hairy shin. As you can imagine, for Joe, he's got so much hair on his shin, he gets lots of penthouse action. And also steal food. I find to steal food from tables just anywhere in a venue, bottles of water. At the moment, I'm sucking on gentle cleansing baby wipes. I find they give me all the nutrition I need, and they're perfumed. Is anyone there?
Just got to let you hang yourself, man.
Sorry,
You're digging a hole on a one.
No, do you know, normally that's what's going on in my head. It's just I suddenly realised actually this is coming out, and there's a microphone at my mouth.
So Tony and a couple of other people were asking about the chip denominations. They're going across the bottom of your screen now.
Hey, look, the licorice and Loganberry's come out. I forgot we've moved on from yesterday.
The sexy 100k chips. They're the newest ones.
Fell took a long time to fold 9-6 there.
Yeah.
Couldn't really see him continuing.
It's funny, I don't really remember Eric being such a deliberator, but there's been a couple of key hands in this. It's really, really
There's been a few, yeah.
It's just, I don't know why. I mean, maybe I'd look back and actually that he does it all the time, but he's not a player in my head. I really remember doing that kind of tanking.
So that pot helps Lunkin extend his lead at the top. He's over 4.4 million now. Nearly a million ahead of Mike McDonald in second place. And then Steve O'Dwyer and Eric Seidel are pretty much even, third and fourth, less than 2.5 million.
Yeah, it's really like anyone's game. Like the next all-in confrontation will really decide who runs away with this.
Yeah, you can
Unless
imagine.
It's like Seidel and Steve specifically get it in, and then everyone's kind of about the same.
Yeah, you can imagine if Lunkin and McDonald knock out one of the other two, then it's going to give them a real advantage.
Yep.
Gives them, I guess it would then give them the opportunity to really put pressure on and be able to lose one all in showdown, but still be in with a chance.
Yeah, and the pay jumps, you know, increase more. They're bigger pay jumps, first, second, third, so.
Your leverage is greater.
Yep.
Just a raise and take from Steve.
Can I sell you some of my chips?
Somebody did point out Steve in his little picture that comes up on your screen. Does look like he has no hair. I mean, considering he's got a lot of hair, when that little picture comes up by his name, he does look a little bit like perhaps his dad looks, I would imagine. A lot of love for Steve actually getting Eric to show us his cards.
That's why I'm trying not to use them for anything.
Is that Steve talking about trying to keep hold of the sexy chips?
Some of those chips so I can see your cards again.
Oh no, he's actually trying to keep the low denomination so that he keeps a little wall. So
he wants that protective wall to his left.
Exactly, so he doesn't have to worry about shielding his cards from Mike.
How do you stack yours, Steve?
I usually just keep them in even 20 stacks. It's just easy to know how much I have.
Yeah, you're a
Kind
blogger.
of like Mike's stack right there.
You're a blogger's best friend. We hate the 25, the 30s, the 35s, the 40s. Keep them in 20s. It just speeds the game up as well if everyone, you know, otherwise people have to keep asking how many chips you got. You know, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that.
Seidel just fold ace-10 off in this
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I think that's too tight. He could 3-bet fold.
Poker Viking is asking, is it just me or is that the higher the chip value, the fancier the color names get? Yes, that is exactly how it works here. There you see how things are currently pan out. Vitali quite handsomely ahead, 4.3 million. And Eric's actually picked up because there was a bigger jump between the four. So a few hands back, and now 2.1 million for him. Steve's on 2.8 million.
2.1, I'm really surprised he didn't just shove the ace-10 off there. I mean, Steve's opening 10-6 suited in the cutoff, so I'm sure if he finds that out, he would realize that he should be shoving ace-10. But maybe he thinks that Steve's opening tighter.
Eric, once again, the mystery man on the cards.
Small blind. With Steve on the big blind.
Let's see if he gets another O'Dwyer and telling off.
Okay, so here we see Steve defend the 9-5 off with 21 blinds, kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier.
The flop is 2 hearts, 7 of clubs, 3 of diamonds.
Well, even if we couldn't see this, I guess we'd be doing our standard thing, as that's more likely to have hit Steve's range than Eric's. And
well, it's pretty dry. It's probably only going to hit Steve if he makes a pair of 7s. So Seidel's just going to c-bet, and Steve can't really continue.
yeah.
Steve might have some 3s, not a lot of deuces, but some straight draws maybe.
Just to remind you where we are. If you're just joining us, it's 50,000, 100,000 with a 10k ante here. Halfway through level 21 with just our last 4 players. All in the money now, obviously. Playing for over 700,000 euro top prize. Oh, look, they must have heard me. There you are. There's your payouts in the background, you can see. So, next exit guaranteed 270,000. Ching.
That's a good hand.
And again, more relevantly from the cutoff than the under the gun. But it doesn't matter. Oh.
Oh, wow, he's been 3-betting. He 3-bet similar spot earlier. Calling would be fine too, but it seems like he's more comfortable 3-betting. So he might be doing that again. And then if he does make it 500 and Seidel shoves, he probably would fold. Which is arguments for just calling, really. Ace-8 suit, it's going to flop well enough.
So he just flats, because he doesn't really want to have to 3-bet, call it off.
Yeah, I mean, he did it with Ace-9 suited, so it's he's kind of just mixing it up. But I kind of thought that flatting the Ace-9 suited made more sense in that spot. Seems pretty close with King-6 off here. Whether or not to take a flop 3 ways, you're getting such an insane price, and making a pair of kings is a pretty good hand. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see Mike.
Is he going to get frisky?
Interesting.
Yeah, all-time squeeze, I guess, yeah.
That's pretty bad timing.
Yeah.
It's probably specifically, because of Lunkin in the pot, and he knows that Lunkin 3-bet earlier, the Ace-9 suited. That was probably like an orbit or 2 ago, so now you can just kind of rule out Lunkin having strong hands, because if he did have a good hand, he'd probably just 3-bet it again. So at this point, he's really just concerned with Seidel's cut-up opening range, and it's not that strong. So this seems probably just like a non-standard play, but given the situation and the players, he can show a profit doing this.
And is there an argument for Seidel just calling here, or do you think he should
No,
always be shoving?
he's always reshoving. It's not. There's no other option.
There we go.
Triangle of Death is out.
And that should get through.
Yeah.
I mean, it will get through.
It's really interesting to see, these situations. Like if Mike just decided to call or fold, you never know what would happen on the flop, because obviously Seidel had him crushed, and very small things like that, random decisions can just change the outcome of the whole tournament.
And that's a big pot for Seidel. That now puts him ahead of Mike McDonald, up to 3.2 million into second place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking chips off the 2 guys in first and second.
Yeah, it bumps those guys down now. Mike on 2.8, Steve on 2.5 million, so nothing much between those guys, and now chasing Vitali.
It's definitely a blow to Mike's confidence too, because he was making a non-standard play. He had King-6 off, so now it's like you're questioning yourself, you're double guessing yourself. Should I have done that? Should I have just folded? What was I thinking? I mean, it's pretty brutal.
Zaya's asking, do you have to stay in the seats from when the draw happened instead of even spacing round? But thing is, these guys, I mean, I understand that we have seen it sometimes where you get 3 players all sitting shoulder to shoulder, and then some guy miles away on the other side of the table. I guess there's no real legitimate reason why people can't spread round, but people are generally, they've got their chips set up, they're all comfy, they got the drinks on the tables. It's
Yeah, usually you spread around,
Yeah.
but sometimes maybe the TV crew don't let you stay for whatever reason.
Yeah, because they have it by camera number. So
Yeah.
suddenly,
Yeah.
if you're in seat 8 and then you're in seat 6, it, causes them a little bit more paperwork and
paperwork.
I
don't know if that's the right word.
No, that's not the right word.
I've not seen a lot of cameramen walking around with clipboards saying, "Will you sign this for me? I've got to move on to seat 3."
Lead work. What would you call it? Extra
Effort.
electrical effort. There we go.
Effort.
Broader.
It's
Let's
a bit
go
more
broader. Yeah.
Eric makes the call and lead a heads up to the front.
I did used to work on a channel where there was so little happening. The camera people used to just sit with books. Just sit. The camera pointed at you with reading a book because you ain't going anywhere.
Pretty thrilled to see the Queen Jack here. You have backdoor flush draw. Any 9, 10, ace gives you a gutter.
Yeah, he's quite comprehensively missed that flop, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not. Yeah, I think you should have bet. I mean, you're just like, if Seidel calls with an 8 and then the turns any of those cards, any heart, 9 or 10, like he can't really call. At this point, he's showing down his queen high, which we've seen him do before. So it kind of lends argument to defending wider in the big blind. Like if he bets the flop, Seidel would just fold.